What is a revolution? Are there certain elements that transform a movement, a rebellion, or a revolt into a revolution? Do revolutions happen when people are most desperate for change, or do revolutions happen when governments begin to institute change, such as the British Empire did in the 1760s and the 1770s? Did our founding fathers, as well as later generations of the American elite, abhor or even fear Thomas Paine, whom some scholars believe to be the original founding father? When we discuss the history of the American Revolution, undoubtedly we'll end up talking about France because the French were indispensable to our war against the mighty British Empire. But let me point out an important irony in this situation. So, a Catholic, French speaking absolute monarch helped Protestant, English speaking, anti monarchy rebel colonies. Think of this arrangement in the context of the 18th century when monarchy was still supreme and when religious affiliations and even religious alliances were geopolitically important. So, given this background, this unlikely alliance, was the French king rewarded for helping the American cause? Or did we leave out France during our 1783 Paris peace negotiations with the British? Speaking of the British, how did the people in Britain feel about their king cracking down on fellow British subjects in the American colonies? And did their opinions change about the American Revolution between 1775 to 1783? Is it true? Is it true that the British were spreading rumors in the American colonies that the Russians are coming? The Russians are coming. Well, the Russians never came. Instead, the Hessians came. And German soldiers coming to America to fight for the British was so unpopular back in the German states that German kings and princes never again rented out their soldiers to other kings or countries. Let's go to India because the British were also there. So, who was Hyder Ali? Did he have any impact on the American Revolution? What about the Qing dynasty? They believe that all Europeans are barbarians, that Europeans essentially have nothing to offer to China except hard currency, mainly silver. So, did China, specifically the global trade with China, have any impact on the American Revolution? What about the Spanish Empire? Did Spain help the American cause? And if so, why is it that we didn't really learn about Spain in the context of the American Revolution way back in our middle school and high school days? And finally, was the American Revolution, in essence, a civil war? You should know that I don't answer any of these questions for you. Rather, I pose these very questions to scholars of the American Revolution, and we discuss them in detail in this program. Welcome to Analyzing American Revolution, a production of the History Behind News program, where, as of this recording, I have interviewed 196 scholars and counting about world history, and importantly, about the history of our own country. And I'm Adel Aali, host of History Behind News, as well as host of Analyzing American Revolution. So I have a good amount of experience in interviewing professors and analyzing history with them. And I now bring that experience to analyze the American Revolution with scholars as well as with you. And here's the good news. In this series, you will hear way less from me and much more from the professors that I interviewed. 25 interviews and more are being scheduled still. And that's the way it should be. Instead of me reading scholarly works and telling you what I've read, I interview the very scholars who have written those great works, scholars who have spent decades analyzing the American Revolution from many different angles. And in this program, they distill those decades of research into an hour of conversation with me, which I share with you. Before I end this introduction to our program, I want to emphasize one specific word, and that word is history. I emphasize it because for most of us, history is narrated like a story with a beginning, a middle, and an end, and a couple of climaxes in between, all of which are put together usually chronologically. But that's not what we do here. We don't tell the history of the American Revolution. We rather analyze the American Revolution. In fact, I assume that you already know that you're already familiar with the history of the American Revolution. For example, I'm assuming that you're familiar with the battles of Lexington and Concord. So instead of telling you about what happened on April 19, 1775, we analyze the social, religious, economic, and generational conflicts in Concord, Massachusetts, that culminated in the shot heard around the world. To be sure, my guest scholars do tell tantalizing and even shocking stories about the American Revolution. But the point is not to tell stories, not chronologically anyway. The point is to learn about the American Revolution from different perspectives. And we do that by digging deep into disparate subjects, some of which I already shared with you, and others include the following: Native peoples, Valley Forge, the Dutch, the Boston Massacre, the Continental Army, immigrants, religion, race, gender issues, Age of Enlightenment, which was also called the Age of Reason, and also Age of Revolution, and many more fascinating subjects. Analyzing the American Revolution is available wherever you listen to podcasts, and our video podcasts are available on Spotify and YouTube. For more information, please visit our websites, analyzingamericanrevolution.com and also historybehindnews.com. I'm ecstatic for our journey deep into the American Revolution and can't wait to tell you more about it in the coming days. So please follow our program and please pass it on. See you guys soon.
And there was General Washington upon a slapping stallion, giving orders to his men. I guess there was a million. Yankee Doodle, keep it up. Yankee Doodle, dandy. Mind the music and the step, and with the girls behind.